Hi, for my informative speech, I'm going to talk about the trial of O.J. Simpson, also known as the trial of the century. For an overview of the case, on July 12, 1994, O.J. Simpson's ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman were stabbed to death outside of her Los Angeles apartment. O.J. quickly became a suspect as blood was found in his Brentwood estate when officers went to notify him of her death. On June 17th, Simpson led police on a long, low-speed chase as he held a gun to his head while he was in the back of a white Ford Bronco. This car chase was nationally televised and people tuned in from around the world. Simpson was formally arraigned on July 22, 1994, and the trial started on January 24, 1995. The trial was prosecuted by Marcia Clark, and Simpson was represented by a dream team of lawyers: Johnnie Cochran, F. Lee Bailey, Robert Shapiro, Alan Dershowitz, and Robert Kardashian. For Simpson's defense, the defense was based on the mishandling of evidence and widespread corruption of the LAPD. A defense brought everything into question. They challenged the handling of evidence, such as blood evidence was stored in plastic containers instead of paper bags. Blood evidence is walked around with for hours upon hours instead of taken right to the lab, and spilling of Simpson's blood in the same lab they tested samples from the crime scene shortly after. This mishandling of DNA evidence allowed for the defense to raise suspicion of the police and their handling of evidence. Another major problem with this trial was the chain of custody. The defense dominated people on the topic of handling evidence. There was quote-unquote missing blood that wasn't entered into the chain of custody for hours, and also unauthorized personnel were handling evidence. The combination of these events allowed for the defense to bring into question everything the LAPD did and continue their possible theory that Simpson was set up by a racist LAPD. Another major flaw on the part of the defense was, I'm sorry, not the defense, the prosecution, was Detective Mark Fuhrman. During this time, the LAPD was under large scrutiny with accusations of being racist, especially after the Rodney King beating and the riots that followed. Detective Mark Fuhrman was a detective who allegedly found the bloody glove at Simpson's house. When put on the stand, F. Lee Bailey grilled Fuhrman, asking him if he had ever used racial slurs to describe African Americans. Fuhrman denied having ever used such words. Tapes were later found about an interview where Fuhrman describes beating African Americans till their faces were mush, planting evidence, and using racial slurs that he previously denied while under oath. Fuhrman was brought back onto the stand and asked if he had ever planted evidence at Simpson's house, and he answered the question by asserting his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Another major event that happened in this trial was when the prosecution asked O.J. Simpson to try on the leather gloves that were found at the crime scene. When Simpson tried them on, it was quite evident that the gloves did not fit. Following that, Johnnie Cochran, who was O.J.'s lead defense attorney, made the famous statement, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." In the lower right of the screen, you can see the picture where O.J. is trying on the gloves with his lead defense attorney, Johnnie Cochran, standing in the background with the blue suit. On October 2nd, 1995, the jury went into deliberation, and the deliberations lasted for less than 4 hours. Millions of people turned in from around the world as they watched to see what the jury had came to a conclusion of. O.J. Simpson was found innocent on all counts against him. And to conclude, the trial of the century showed many flaws in both the judicial system in addition to the police force and laboratories. O.J.'s lawyers were able to point out the mishandling of evidence in laboratories and at crime scenes. The trial very well may have been the reason the handling of evidence in the chain of custody is taken so seriously today in police agencies. Thank you.